No matter what your goal is, one of the major factors when it comes to losing weight or gaining weight is your diet. There's a lot of advice out there telling you how many calories you need, but no one is telling you what specific foods to eat. One of the major reasons why diets don't work is the sole reason that people don't like their diet. And I'm here to give you a list of foods that I recommend you add to your diet. One of the most common mistakes when it comes to dieting is forgetting to include healthy fats. This is because 1 gram of fat has more calories and it's easy to store in the body. So it's kind of common to see why people avoid fat. However, there is a reason why the keto diet exists. There are certain people out there who like to eat mostly fats. Fat does leave you full, but not in the same way that carbs do. But the keto diet also consists on a lot of protein. Protein plays a big factor when it comes to staying full. However, the reason why people can't sustain the keto diet is because of the lack of carbs. There are several types of carbs out there, and only having fibrous carbs is not optimal when it comes to maintaining your diet. So that is the reason why the keto diet is not maintainable. But nevertheless, fats are important and a critical part when it comes to your health. That's why I personally recommend using spray oil and dark chocolate and basically any type of nut. Whole eggs are also a good example. There are all sorts of fats out there, and it's important to distinguish between the good kind and the bad kind. For the most part, it is very easy to distinguish the bad kinds, like for example chocolate, cake, and butter. Also, fats that come from meats outside of fish are bad for you. They are just unnecessary calories. That's why whenever possible, I recommend you get the lean version of the meat. In the description, I added a list with all of the healthy fats I recommend, but fat is not the only factor when it comes to weight gain. A lot of people have tried to go against carbs, saying they are the reason why most people gain weight, and that cannot be further from the truth. The truth is that there are a lot of products out there that have higher amounts of carbs, so therefore it's easier to buy unhealthy options. But I am here to tell you that carbs are good for you and you shouldn't avoid them. First of all, bread. Bread has a bad reputation. People say that it's going to make you fat. Many people, myself included, eat bread every day and end up looking fine. As a matter of fact, I feel like I get a better pump whenever I do eat bread. But it's not just bread that gets a bad reputation. I feel like all starchy carbohydrates have a bad reputation because of its bloating effect. The problem is overconsumption. It's easy to overconsume rice, but when you combine starch and fiber, it gets much easier to feel full, especially if your fiber's portions is higher than your starch. In my opinion, I feel like carbs control most people's diets because it can be sweet and savory, but most important of all, it could be really tasty. I would argue that carbs are tastier than fats. I know every time I make a fitness video, I always recommend this guy, but Greg Doucette's cookbook. This book has sweet and savory options that are low in calories. I already talked about this book enough, and it's really expensive, so not everybody's gonna be able to afford it. So I'm just gonna recommend this instead. Switch to low calorie option. For example, I switched from normal cereal to Magic Spoon cereal. Instead of using ketchup, I'm using sugar-free ketchup now. Instead of drinking soda, well, you get the idea. Making the switch is really easy because most products end up tasting like the original, but I strongly recommend you mostly switch on condiments. Most of the time we don't really control how much condiments we put on our food, so most of the time we're unaware of how many calories we're adding on top of our food. For example, normal ketchup has 20 calories per tablespoon, and let's say I want 5 tablespoons worth of ketchup. This is really unrealistic. We usually put way more, but this is just an example. But that leaves us adding 100 calories extra to whatever we're eating. And the 100 calories is a lot, considering how the condiments don't really add anything to our fulfillment. It's just something extra. So making the switch to lower calorie options when it comes to condiment is something that I strongly recommend. Lastly, I want to talk about protein. Now, there's a lot of research out there that says that you only need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. But that advice is good, and a lot of people see results in it. It is simply unnecessary, because rarely are people actually eating way little to protein. The average male should consume only about 56 grams to 91 grams of protein a day. Now, for a lot of people, that might seem low, but you have to remember that this is the average man. Yeah, but when it comes to losing weight, having 30% to 35% of your calories coming from protein would be a good idea. This would be the most optimal when it comes to feeling full. And as you guys know, protein has many benefits. It boosts your metabolic rate, meaning that you burn calories just for doing nothing. Also, it reduces your appetite, as I said. So because of these benefits and the fact that it's hard to produce, this leads to protein being one of the most expensive products out there. If I had to choose between 3 protein sources that I recommend to anyone, it would be egg whites, canned tuna, and whey protein. I picked these 3 because of the sole reason they aren't that high on price. One can of tuna where I live costs about 89 cents, and a carton of egg whites costs about $5. And the whey protein varies depending on where you get it from. I think I've seen as low as $25 for 20 scoops. And of course, we have to talk about training, specifically cardio and weight training. Cardio is important because not only does it allows us to have a healthy heart, but it also allows us to have an overall enjoyable life. But there are all sorts of cardio out there. The best type of cardio in general is the one that you can do for long periods of time. That's why in general I just recommend all types of cardio. As long as you go out there and move, then that's all that matters. Let's say you're at the gym, you just finished a nice long weight workout, and you want to leave strong with some cardio that leaves you shredded. At the gym, the number one cardio machine I recommend is the elliptical. It makes sense why this one's the best since you're moving both of your arms and your legs at the same time. Therefore, you burn more calories. But always remember that the more cardio you do, the more hungry you're gonna be. Your body will try to recover the calories you just burned. So that is another reason why you should do steady-state cardio. When it comes to weightlifting, I feel like it's kind of obvious why weightlifting is good for you. Have a stimulus that builds muscle, and the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn while doing nothing. So you can probably imagine how many calories you burn if you eat a lot of protein and have a lot of muscle. So there you guys go. This is my weight loss advice. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, or if you like my channel. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. See ya!